Like, I could not be a good father if I was not a good son. Like, I thought we were connected. Um, but I had to remember that I'm also someone who is interested in being better and doing the work. And I had to come to the conclusion that my mother is not.
Welcome to The Climb, where I help Christian men live fully, lead boldly, and leave a legacy that matters. I'm your host, Teko Bailey, husband, father, life coach, and your guide in the climb. Whether you're navigating fatherhood, building a business, or simply longing to live more purpose, this is a space to rise. Glen, welcome to The Climb. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much for having me, brother. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Most people know you for your YouTube platform and other social media platform where you talk about fatherhood, and you've been doing this for a number of years. What inspired you to write this book, Fathering Yourself First, and especially from your own life? I wasn't expecting it would be more from your life, so I'm interested to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think that what happened was I realized that people really don't know the origin story of why I started the channel. Most people just think it's like, oh yeah, I'm trying to make money off of YouTube, right?
Yeah.
The reason why I started it originally had way more to do with the lack of proof in the world, right? Fathers famously uh, choose not to share their stories. They choose to be quiet and stoic as a way to appear strong. And then on their deathbed, we get to hear the truth if we're lucky. And so I wanted to tell more of why I started this and the pain it came from of not knowing what to do. And I refused to let another generation come into fatherhood, having no clue what the truth is. And so even just before we started, your wife popped on and was like, hey, thank you for showing the kids in the way during
Come
the
on.
podcast. And I'm like, yeah, well, you have to know the truth. I want to be able to tell you the truth because there is a cost to this work, right? The book, uh, a lot of people will chastise you when they find out your dad wasn't in the home, was he? Was he? Yeah, you have feminine energy. Like it's a lot of that. And I can actually attest to like, yeah, man, like I show up much more like my mother would have
Mm,
because of how she raised me. But I'm not done.
come on.
I have the opportunity and the access, and I have the opportunity to be a father of not only a girl but also 3 boys, and it has taught me more about manhood than anything else. And I've decided instead of being jealous that they have me and I didn't have my father accessible to me in the home every day, um, I would just apply what I'm teaching them to me, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so Father Yourself First is an important lesson that I continue to read and kind of wash myself with so that I can continue to grow because I don't want to age out of my children. There comes a time in your child's life where you stop growing and your words don't really matter as much because your actions are speaking louder. And so
That's
I
right.
will continue to grow.
Thank you for holding this space for men, Glenn, because you're right. A lot of our dads really talk about life and some of the deeper things when they're on their deathbed or when they do get close to that time. Even my own dad, like he was a good father, but there were areas that I needed him to show up that he wasn't there. And I think it's not because he didn't want to, he didn't know how to. Um, Even if you were to say some things to him, it wouldn't have the same depth of meaning as you communicated to what you want to receive from your dad. And so I think it's so important to have more of us guys and you kind of uh, pioneering that space in many ways, holding that space, creating it, and being a forerunner, especially in a season and an era like this. Walk me through the moment when you realized you were fathering your kids more than you were fathering yourself.
Well, there's a couple things. I want to come back to your father, right? And him not knowing how. I want to come back to that, but I'll say I was in therapy and my therapist was asking me questions, and he has a glimpse to watch me parent as well, because while I'm sitting in a Zoom call with him, my kids will interrupt and he'll just smile, watch me interact. And then one something happened, and one of my kids came in and did something, and I was just like, it's okay, buddy, just clean it up and da 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 da, right? And he was like, I noticed something. And I'm like, all right, here we go. Right. So my therapist goes, I noticed you give up your kids a lot of grace. Why is that?
Hmm.
I was like, oh man, because they're kids, they're learning how to be human. They're making mistakes. It is what it is. And he was like, I noticed that you don't give yourself the same grace you give your children.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah. And he was like, why is that? I was like, I mean, I'm the dad, you know what I'm saying? Like, and my inner voice, the inner voice, the inner bully, which he calls it, uh, is beating me up often.
Ooh.
And I have this real negative tone and negative voice in my head, and my therapist gets to experience that, and he hates my language to myself. Well, he did. And so he doesn't he's never told me he hated it, but he gristles, what is it? Grimaces as I say them. So I'm like, yeah, I say these things and I treat myself this way because I'm the father. And he was like, well, you're also a vital part of your family. You need the same grace as your children. How come you don't extend yourself? And I had to realize and admit that I honestly did not feel a part of my own family. I felt I existed for them, not with them. And it kind of twisted when I realized that I needed the same peace, love, care, support that they were afforded just because they are my children. I would protect
Hmm.
each other. I would protect them from my ambition. I would protect them from their mother. I would protect their mother from them. I would always be helping things orbit, but I also wasn't considering myself. I would just take these beatings, except when it came to discipline and don't talk to me that way, respect. But not even just for me, more for the greater community. When you step outside, you respect people, right?
That's right. That's right.
So another mentor of mine, her name is Teko Nijan, and she was like, you know, your limit, like your threshold starts with the abuse you received. So you won't walk away from a relationship until it gets too close to what you experienced as detrimental. When
Hmm.
you should stop way before that. You should stop being in a relationship with someone way before they threaten your life.
Yeah.
But I leave it to being life threatened for me to stop being in a relationship with somebody. And so there was a lot of that. And I just was like, okay, I deserve better because my children deserve better. And I wouldn't want them to tolerate the same things I tolerate. So let's get better, essentially.
There's a lot packed into that, man. And I I am grateful that you were able to put those into words so that other guys can hear that and find language to be able to speak to ourselves and then be able to live that out as we get married and then have kids and then try to be dads. Because I think part of it too is that a lot of us don't know what to expect in fatherhood because we haven't been there before. And very few of us have men in our lives who come around and say, here's what's to expect. It might not be the same as my life or my journey, but intentionally walking with you, intentionally
Yeah.
walking with you as another man or a brother to say, hey, I'm with you in this journey. And I think so many of us need that right now, which is why our families, like we do have a vision or an idea of what we want our families to look like, but it's not happening because most of it are in it alone, struggling silently, and as you say, trying to be stoics and making everything on the outside look like it's fine. uh you talked about being there for being there for them, for your kids, and everything revolving around them. What does that look like in this season now that you have a better sense of the kind of person you want to be?
Right now, it looks like proving love, like proving my love. Uh, there is a disconnection between my marriage. One of my other mentors, Pat Lynch, said he always talks about marriage, mission, and marketplace. And there's a pull between all those things, right? Um, my ministry is my marriage, my family. Uh, my marketplace is my business. My mission um, has a lot to do with the fatherhood initiatives. And all those things are really important for me to pursue. And it makes me feel like I'm in my purpose as a man. But sometimes we accept the invitations that the world gives us and we forget to accept our family's invitations.
Hmm.
So, you know, the engagement section of this book talks a lot about accepting the invitation. And so I don't see when my children ask me to play with them or to do something with them, I don't see it as them asking me to do something and taking time from my mission or taking time from my ministry or taking time from the marketplace that I'm trying to provide. I look at it as an invitation that I will not RSVP to because I am too busy or I have something booked. But then I realized that that is a invite only VIP pass to your children's heart. And so that opportunity, when you accept that invitation, it does wonders for your relationship. Um, so I try in this season of life to accept every invitation that I can, to accept every invitation I can. When I accept those invitations, uh, two things happen. I get blessed, right, with laughter, memory.
Hmm.
Sometimes people get hurt, you know, because I'm a dad. I play rough. But another thing happens where my inner child gets to play with theirs, and they get to see me smile and laugh, and it experience me in a different way.
Come on.
And if I want to be the disciplinarian, the strong father, I also have to show them that I am that way sometimes, but I'm also big on joy because I wasn't always taught that, you
Yeah.
know? And so it's a true opportunity to accept the invitation. That's the kind of season of fatherhood I'm in now.
I like that. Showing both sides that you can be joyful and also a disciplinarian. I think it's a good image of who God is as well. Just being a lion and a lamb, caring, protecting, and yet the warrior who can also jump in a battle and fight for you in a split second. What was the hardest part for you in writing the book?
Well, I think the work, there was, I had to come to not the work of writing it, the work of addressing the feelings that that had been tucked.
Yeah,
So my relationship with my mother has always been strained, and I've always tried to work on it, and it got to the point where it was not working out. You know what I mean? And so I had to kind of get to the point where I'm like, all right, well, we have to figure out where this is going.
yeah.
And I sat down with my mother in a therapy session with her therapist and tried to tell her the truth, and she just couldn't hear me. I believe her pride was in the way. And I think letting go of my expectations, like I could not be a good father if I was not a good son. Like I thought the
Yeah.
two were connected. Um, but I had to remember that I'm also someone who is interested in being better and doing the work. And I had to come to the conclusion that my mother is not.
For people who are stuck in a similar experience, how would you encourage them to sort of unlock that or unlink it?
Oh man. I think it's tough, man. I mean, I realize in the black community, in most communities, parents um are given the um giving the overwhelming position to be honored without
Mm.
accountability.
Mm.
And so trying to tell someone who is stuck in a relationship like that,
Yeah.
that they need to address something like this is it's like scaling a wall. You know what I mean? Like it's really difficult to help people overcome that.
Yeah.
And that takes a level of bravery that I don't know if most people are interested in having. I think culturally we're seeing a lot more of that. We're seeing a lot
Yes.
more people being like, I'm just gonna go no contact because they don't listen. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It also takes a, hey, I'm the adult now. Here are the rules of engagement. If you want to come play, if you want to be a part of my life, here's how we get back to restoration. But if we can't do that, then I can't be in this relationship because of what it costs me. And I had to think about that. Um, it cost me a lot to be in a
Yeah.
relationship with my mother. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I had to like only talk to her on a Friday night because I knew I wasn't going to create for the next 2 days because I was off on the
Mm.
weekends. And it cost me creativity to be in communication with her. So that means it also cost me money I couldn't provide for my family because
Yeah.
what she would say to me on the phone made me feel so sick. I would just kind of lay in bed for like 12 hours. Like it was that depressing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And, you know, trying to tell someone like that who uses their words just flippantly and doesn't really care about the effects of them, uh, and is used to having the world kind of revolve around them. Um, you know, they can't see it. And so I just was kind of like, all right, well, this is costing me way too much. And I like if something happens to you, I want to be able to take care of you because I've wasted all my time talking to you. You know what I mean? And I don't have no
Yeah.
money. So
Yeah.
truly it is something that I don't know if everyone is built for. I have friends of mine who are like, they just avoid the conversation, altogether. And that does not really work in the long run because what you
Yeah.
have is someone who doesn't know their place and they believe that time can heal all wounds. And so instead of addressing the issues, they're going to continue to just wait for time to expire so
Yeah.
that they can be like, hey, oh, isn't this funny? And I had to tell my mom, like, don't send me nothing unless it comes with an apology and honesty. Unless it comes with accountability. Don't message me. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say. This is not funny to me. We don't even have the same sense of humor. I told her. I was like, I don't even think the things you think are funny.
Yeah.
So don't even send it to me. You know what
I
I'm saying?
I think you're decoding a lot of pieces here for people who I think many of us are in those relationships, but culturally we don't know how to break away from it because if you break away from it, then what do you have as family? And especially somebody who is supposed to be so close to you, you identify so much with that individual that if they're removed in certain ways from the picture, it's so painful. And I think that's why most people don't do it. But it's also why most of us haven't grown in different areas, both personally in our own lives, as well as in the relationship with the other person, why our families can't improve because we still carry those baggages or wounds into the relationship with us. So I love that you have the courage because I'm the courage to, push through and do that. And again, to put it in words so many of us can learn from that. It's powerful. And I honor that.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Teko. I appreciate it. And I just want to say too that, sometimes we have to tell ourselves our full story. And this is what we talk about on my I have a call for black men. Because it's called Becoming Good Fathers. Every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. PST, I just open up a Zoom and we just men come in. Sometimes it's a lot, sometimes it's a little, but it's a safe place to fall apart. But I've been trying
Yeah.
to get us to tell ourselves our own story. And so, sometimes my mom would be like, she'd be like, well, all that knocking you upside the head, really worked out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, and I was like, well, if it worked out, you also have to take credit for the suicidal ideation as well. You can't
Mm,
separate the two because there was a time where I wanted to. killed myself since I was 9. I asked God to take my life.
Yeah.
So you have to take credit for both of those. Are you willing to do that? You know? Um, and I had to tell her like, hey, like at this point, you're my mom. I haven't like relied on you in a way that is nurturing since, a young age. I don't know how to do that now. I don't trust
Mm.
you to have communication. Here's all the things I'm not going to do and all the things we don't do. And we're not going to pretend to do it. So the closest we can be now is friends. Is that what you want? And she said, I don't know what I want. I said,
Mm.
well, I don't have those type of relationships in my life right now where people are just in limbo and they're able to come in and cause tension and have access to my home and my
Yeah.
children without even making a commitment to be a good friend. It's
Yeah.
not happening. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what I've been, on as far as our relationship. And the truth I told myself is that you can never be a good father if you don't have access to your parents. And so I had to then, well, say, what am I actually holding on to? You know, because what it is how I define myself. I have to say that, I used to define myself as a survivor of abuse. And that is not who I am. I'm
That's right.
way too far from that.
That's
And
right.
so, we got to say the whole story, right? So if you're going to say, "Hey, if I lose this, then I lose family," and I'm okay. Well, what does that family do for you? What does it provide? What does it help you accomplish? Um, and sometimes you get to a certain age as an adult where you're like, "Oh man, this is actually costing me more than it's worth." You have to start assessing things like that, you know.
How do you see it from an intergenerational perspective with your kids? What's a healthy way to build off of that?
Well, I mean, I think that, the main goal is that our children would love themselves. They would know to love themselves. Um, and also the next goal is like to see your parents healthy, loving each other, loving themselves, and loving the people around them. If at any point I bring someone around me that threatens my children's perception of me,
Yeah.
right? And endangers like who I want them to become, I'm then putting myself in a place where my witness isn't even reliable. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? And so how I think of it is, mom, like I really want you to be in a relationship with your grandchildren, but not at the cost of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so unfortunately I care about me way more than I care about your relationship with them. You know what I'm saying? Because though I think you can give them some wisdom and care, at this point, I believe that they are uh, a level of pride for you and not
That's right.
something that, is really going to be valuable for their own well being. It's going to be for you. You know what I'm saying?
And
Because that's where we're at right now.
and as a dad, you're responsible for cultivating the environment you want to see in your home too. So
Well, everybody you
100%.
present to your children is an option of who they
Yeah.
can become. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And so I have to do even more work to
Yeah.
find people around my mom's age that can serve as a grandmother role. I
Mm.
have to set the standards for everybody. It's not just with my parents, it's with my wife's parents as well. It's everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody can get the smoke. But I'm like, also, we want you all to get the reward, but it also comes through the lens of accountability. You can't threaten their parents, you know what I'm saying? And then
Yeah.
expect the children to allow like I wouldn't like if I allow someone to threaten my wife and they still in connection with me, it's a no-go. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Um So yeah, it is very difficult. And I think that what I'm hoping is that what I'm applying to my parents rubs off on me and I will be an honoring grandfather.
Yes.
I would be able to honor them and care for them and care on all my sons' wives in a way that they feel protected and cared for
Come on.
to gain access to my grandchildren because that is something I want, not just to be able to give them money. I have wisdom to give.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I hope I would have access. And truthfully, the book, the YouTube channel, all of that is so my grandchildren wouldn't even have to wonder.
Oof.
My
Come
children
on.
didn't even have to wonder, what was
Come
dad
on.
thinking? What was he doing? How was he
Come
spending his
on.
time? How was he working through his relationships? Was it something that was important? Like, I'm like, "No, you don't even have to what
Absolutely.
if I die today, you'll have it."
I'm with you on that 100%. I'm just finishing up my first book, and that's one of the main reasons why I said to my wife, I want to leave this as part of the legacy, that if my kids don't hear some of my stories, then it's there. And I love how you're thinking generationally. You talked a little bit in your book about your wife's hug and how meaningful and powerful that was for you. How was it built on the relationship and where you're heading?
Well, I mean, the whole point is that I would always be the hugger. Like, I'm the place where everyone gets a good squeeze, you know? And even when I married my wife, her family was like, "Yeah, we don't really hug like that. We didn't really hug each other until you came around." You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so, not because I was hugged a lot as a kid, I just needed
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
And, you know, I realized that, I really needed someone to hold me, you know, feeling like you're falling apart and there's no one who can put you back together, you
Hmm.
know, the rest of you, whatever is still remaining needs to be held together. And having access to my wife and my family and doing the group hugs and stuff like that, just, it's another layer of protection and connection for me that I'm even able to say, I need a hug. My
Yeah.
children can say it really easily. My daughter would say, I need love. My second oldest would say, hey, I need a hug. Can I have a hug? All the time, multiple times a day. You know what I'm saying? Um, sometimes I'm even like, bro, I'll tell them to do something. Man, go like just right now. Like, man, go clean your room. You know what I'm saying? Can I have a hug? Like,
Yeah.
no, look, I'm not gonna pay you
Come
to
on.
clean your room in affection. Do what I tell you to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I give you a direction, that doesn't mean you need to be consoled, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have to kind of, it's a little give and take there. I'm trying to use wisdom and indiscretion about how I'm doing that. Uh,
Yeah.
but I am very aware of the importance of being held. And I think that I thought my children would age out of that. And so, this morning when I woke up and I saw them, I went over to my oldest son and I just rubbed it on his face, touched him on the cheek, sometimes I'll rub my hands together, make him real warm and just hold his face. You know what I mean? Like,
Come on.
that type of connection is really good for them. And so even when my wife just goes, hey, do you need anything? Touches my neck. I'm just like, yeah, just keep doing that. Um, I don't know if I know that, if men who grew up in being raised by their mothers, we do a good job of knowing how to listen to women.
Mhm.
And we're kind of trained on how to treat a woman. My mother took me out and said, "This is how you take a woman on a date." Like, she was very like, about that, teaching me. I don't know if we are training our daughters to care for men. You know what I'm
Mm.
And so I think that's something that we could definitely work on and something I needed from my wife too. I had to tell her, like, I don't know if you know how to like take care of a husband. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
if I've really seen that. So very interesting.
From a parenting perspective, how would you encourage fathers to, let me say, parent their sons and then parent their daughters?
One, I say get as much literature as you can. Okay.
Yeah.
My book, Father Yourself First, I feel like is a good book to uh, help men become everything their family deserves. Fathers,
Yeah.
everything your family deserves. I'm also reading The Man the Moment Demands by Jason Wilson. Incredible.
Ooh.
Just, really great book on manhood in general. Master the 10 Characteristics of a Comprehensive Man. Super dope book. Almost done this one. Um, I think literature is going to help you more than anything else, but experience is going to
Yeah.
be most important. In the book, I talk about, uh, you know, getting a master's degree in your children, like being a
Yeah.
student of them.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say it's based on their gender and you can group all genders together. I think you have to tailor it for each kid.
Mhm.
Or kids you have, the more difficult that assignment is, you know? And so, um, I study my children, you know? One of the things that, we were kind of low key canceled for was, posting our kids on the internet. Uh,
Yeah.
People were not really against that. and I think they still are. I think one thing that was super dope is that we started doing, uh, like we're having one today. They're called consent meetings. And so we watch the video that I'm about to put out as a family on camera.
Mm-hmm.
So as we watch the video, I get to look back because, my oldest son would be like, man, I don't really like that part, or take that out. I don't like how I'm represented there. My youngest children can't, they can say, I don't like that part. Take that part. Dad, my belly is showing right there. Take that part out. But sometimes you'll see him like Uzi, he won't say anything, but he'll cover his face. And I
Yeah.
that's him saying, "I don't want that in there."
Mm.
So, I'll either take it out just, for safety or ask
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
again and inquire deeper, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, I think that me knowing them, me filming them has given me so much information. I could look at the wave patterns on their on a video, or just on audio, and I know who's talking based on the timing. You know what I'm saying? Because I study them. I know whose footsteps are walking through the house, who's coming without looking. I can spell them. Like I have them down to a science. And so, um, I'm very confident in that. But that takes repetition and that takes being available and in proximity with them. Not every father is afforded that. So when you do have time off, if you do work a 9 to 5 or you're not home often, you gotta spend time studying your kids. And so I say that if you wanna, like, relax and rest, like, carve out quiet time throughout the day, um, let them nap with you. You know what I'm saying? Go sleep on their
Yeah.
floor. I was just reading that in Jason Wilson's book, like, he was like, "Yeah, my son was disconnected, and so I just laid on his floor, and I just waited till he talked." Um, like, learn how to silence the world so that you can hear the heartbeat of your children, you know?
So
Um,
good.
that's what I would suggest. Instead of basing it on gender, I would base it on each child.
Well, that's a key point, studying your kids. I think a lot of us do that with our work. We're so good at what we do at work, but when we come home, some of us don't even know who is in our house. So I love how you break that down. Um, we're gonna wind down a bit, but I want to ask you about the three ask rule. You talk about that with your kids, and I think it's a brilliant idea. Uh, how did it come about, and how you see it impacting your family?
Yeah, well, I used to have to wait to be asked 3 times before I said yes because they were always asking me for something. Uh, but now I'm getting down to 2 and 1.
Yeah.
And it's really the 3 ask rule was just so that, basically my kid would be asking me for stuff and then asking me to spend time with them, and I'd just be like, yeah, in a little bit," or "No, not right now," and I just kept saying that. Like, I've yet to play Madden with my son. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think that by not accepting those invitations, I realized they don't come back around. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? And, I would just give myself a limit of 3 times. The 3rd time you have to say yes, whatever it is. So that
yeah.
was led to my daughters painting my nails. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
3rd ask, you know? Um, Another thing that I think that happened was I realized that it's easier for them to, you know, um, like whatever they're asking for doesn't take a long time, depending on who they.
Yeah.
Um, the oldest one is probably the most entitled. So, when he'd be like, "Hey, Dad, can we play a game of basketball?" And I say yes, and I go, "What are we going to?" He's like, 50, and I'm like, "What?" He's trying to maximize the time.
Yeah. I get it. Now I'm gonna take everything.
I'm taking everything and nobody I want you to die by the time
Yeah.
it's over, right? We're going to 50 full court. Like, I'm like, "What in the heck?" Like, no, we don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? And so the ask, "Nah, man, we're going to 12. We're going to 10." We're moving 5. We could play a couple rematches. But if we go to 50, I might not play again for another 6 months. My ankles are gonna be hurting. You know what I'm saying? So, I've learned to just kinda just say yes the first time because it's really not a lot, especially when you do so much life together and you have so much family time and you have time together on the schedule. So, instead of because some dads will have to accept the invitation to gain enough downtime to talk to their children about something they really need to talk about, right? So if playing a game of basketball means after the basketball game when we're kind of winded and we're resting, we can then talk about life, right?
That's right.
But we spend so much time already doing that anyway. Now that we do nightly Bible studies and my wife does a devotional and sometimes we just have family meetings. We eat few meals together because I work from home. So it doesn't really leave a lot of like mystery there.
Yeah.
Even last night we were reading the Bible and we were talking about Jacob and Esau and they were like the Bible question from the study was like, how did you get your name? What does your name mean? And da 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 da. And we started talking about the kids' names and what they mean and who was planned and who wasn't. And they were kind of like, wait a minute, I thought you only had sex to make babies. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And
Yeah.
we were like, no. And they was like, yeah, you had sex 4 times, right? I was like, we have sex more than 4 times. And they were like, wait,
Yeah.
what? You know what I'm saying? And they were like, so there are more
Yeah.
babies? And we were like, no, there's not more babies.
Yeah.
And so, you know, um, and I goes, this changes everything. Why? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, and so those type of discussions were like doomsday for our parents. Like they'd be sitting there
Yeah.
stressing about one day he's gonna ask me about sex and I'm gonna have to punch him in the throat. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Don't be curious,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But there's just a way of life here. And so I'm hoping that I keep that lane open and it doesn't get closed down for work on me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Um, so yeah, I think when you do have the 3 ask rule, it's a good way to set up. But I think you'll end up enjoying it so much, you'll just you'll cheat it and you'll start taking the first opportunity or even inviting them.
You do a lot, Glenn. You write, you podcast, you take care of your family, and you guys homeschool as well. How do you maintain everything? How do you keep steady while you're juggling all of these pieces? What keeps you going?
I love that you said juggling because I hate balance. If you read the book, I
Yeah.
hate the term juggling. So I think of juggling mostly in relationships. You have some relationships that are being uplifted. You have some relationships that are falling, and you some have some relationships that you're holding on to.
Yeah.
Um, you got to catch them. Uh, but also, a mentor Teko of mine, me and my wife's mentor, she talked about juggling as in things in life. Some balls are glass and some balls are rubber. So just don't drop the glass balls.
That's right.
you
That's
know,
right.
is what Tico told us. And so we apply that. Is this glass or rubber? Can this fall? Will it bounce? If it
Hmm.
down, will we be able to pick up the pieces or not? And so our children, our family are the glass balls. And so those are the things that we prioritize. And sometimes those things are going to be on the uptick. Sometimes they're going to be falling. And so just trying to keep everything moving. Don't drop the glass. It's essentially what it is.
Thanks. For a guy who is listening and he's trying to head in the right direction, and maybe he has books, maybe he's bought yours or other books. Uh, what's one of the first step he could take to head in that direction if he has no clue what to do or haven't had any of these resources?
You know, um, Getting really quiet and asking the creator of the universe for direction. Um, that's hard when you have a lot of voices in your head or you have a lot of screen time on your phone and you don't know how to meditate, you don't know how to get quiet, you don't know how to pray. It's very hard. It's actually, you know, it's a little pompous of me to even suggest that for such a busy generation. Um, but I think that when I break everything down and I think about what is most important in my life, you know, I know that not having an internal compass really separates everybody, like it destroys people.
Yeah.
Um, and what I mean is that, the whole thing got started when my wife asked me, well, where do I see myself in 5 years? And I had
Mm.
no answer for her. And she was asking me not, you know, for like my grand plan for life. She was just asking me curious about what I had planned for my family. And
Yeah.
I had to answer, I don't have one. And when I realized I didn't have a 5-year plan, and she said, I trust you in my family, and my future. And you don't have 5 years planned out, rolled over and went to sleep. And I had to sit there and say, dang, I don't have any direction in my life. What kind of leader am I? I recognized that once I started to get my plan together and I got it, I asked other men that and they don't have a plan either. Some men are grandparents.
Yeah.
I had to ask another man, like, what's your plan for your future? What's your plan for your family? And he was like, I don't have one. And I was like,
Mm.
that's very dangerous. You know, you're 60 years old. You don't know where you're going. That's a problem.
Yeah.
At least tell me where you want to end up. Uh, and I don't know if men are scared to commit to a plan or we're scared to admit our desires to ourselves. But it's truly important for us to know the first thing we know. Like the first thing I was able to answer when my homie said, what's your 5-year plan? And I said, I don't know. He said, what's your 15? What's the 10-year plan? I said, I don't know. He said, what's your 15-year plan? I said, I know I don't want to be rapping at 45.
Yeah.
I didn't know exactly what I want to do. I just know what I didn't want to do. I don't want
Yeah.
to stay here. I don't want to do what my granddad did. I don't want to do what my
Yeah.
dad did. So you have to admit that to yourself. And the reason why I can admit that is because I know my story. I know what happens when I get into music and hip hop is my priority. I am extremely prideful. I think I'm better than everybody and I want to pick fights with people in battle.
Yeah. Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Come
And
on.
I'm like, I'm
Come
not
on.
trying to live like that until I'm 45 years old, trying to tell people to put their hands up, walking around with a sweaty crotch from a
Yeah.
state. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Yeah.
not trying to do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you want to, he said, what do you want to be doing? I said, I want to be telling people how great it is to be a father.
Yeah.
Is
Come
it?
on. Come on.
And so once I realized that, I was like, all right, having a plan is important. Get quiet and try to figure out a plan for yourself. And this is perfect for the beginning of the year. I really would love to see men know their story
Yeah.
and know what direction they're going.
Yeah.
Just start moving, right? You'll find the right pieces in the ways and along the way, you'll find where you need to go, who you need to communicate, what is too heavy for this trip, right? But if you don't start, it's gonna be really tough.
No, this is good. Glenn, a lot of nuggets here, a lot of gold, and thank you for doing the work so that a lot of us can learn from it and have the language and resources to do it. I know people will be heading out to get your book, Fathering Yourself First. Yep.
Father yourself first. Father
Come
yourself
on.
first.
Come on.
Buy the
Come
book,
on.
buy 2 of them, buy them for a friend, read them
Come
together as
on.
a community. Let's
Uh,
let's let's hold each other accountable and walk together throughout this journey of fatherhood. Okay. Our children and our communities are at risk because we are not in community, right? So buy a few and get a couple guys together and read it. I think it's gonna be really valuable for you for sure.
Absolutely. Website, all that kind of stuff. Um,
Yeah, the website's down right now, but if you go to my Instagram, BELEAFMEL, Belief Mel, you will be able to find some links that are going to be very important for you. There, you're going to be able to find links to get the book. You're going to you'll be able to get links to join the Zoom call, which is free every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. I'm doing this. I did it throughout the whole holiday. This is something I don't want to slip through the cracks because I really want to connect with other fathers. It's really important. So I would say those are the best places to start. If you are looking for inspiration and a reason to want to be a better father, go to my YouTube channel, Belief in Fatherhood. It will bless you. I have some beautiful things that we're about to start launching. I also, if you can't connect in my area, DSSC, Daddy Stroller Social Club. It's a group of men who care about other men and their mental health. They go walking with their kids. You do not have to be a father to go. You do not have to have a stroller to go. But the guy, Calvin Bridgewater, super dope individual. He started because he didn't realize men can have postpartum depression. And he had
ooh,
postpartum depression.
yeah.
And he was having such a hard time that he had to get a group together and start walking with men. There's 4,500 men across the country walking together, and we have like 7 chapters launching on January 17th, and San Diego is one of them. Okay, so we're doing our first march July 17th at Gohomey Park in Oceanside. Join us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Glen. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Teko. I appreciate you, man.